Welcome back to Reliving Retro. This is season 2, guys.
Cool. Yeah.
Episode 1 of season 2. We played Link to the Past for the past 2 weeks, and we have a very special guest on to talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick, also known as Lord Hoell on TikTok. I play retro games there.
It's awesome.
Cool.
Definitely go check him out on there. He's live like seemingly all the time. I feel like whenever I'm on TikTok, my dude is live, and I always jump in there to just say what's up.
Absolutely.
And yeah, he plays a lot of Mario Kaisos as well as Link to the Past randomizers, and both are a lot of fun to check out.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
So quick question for my lord over here. We have your introduction to gaming. What would you say that was? What was your first console? Maybe how did you get it?
My first console was NES. I think my dad got it for himself to play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out back in the late 80s. We got some of the Mario games, and then my brother, who is a little bit older, he's 3 years older than me, he started playing. And then I asked my mom one day, "Can I play?" And I think I might have been 2.5, 3 years old. And she said, "Yeah, sure. What's the worst that can happen?" Well, she found me in Bowser's Castle World 8-4 in Mario as a Mario 1 as I think it was a 3.5-year-old. So
Wow.
yeah,
Awesome.
she kind of realized, oh, hey, he's pretty good at this. So that was kind of my intro.
So your parents were gamers, huh?
No, that's the funny thing. They were not. My dad just, for some reason, I don't know what it was. I guess it was a whim, and then he got bored of it. That was the only thing he really ever, video game wise, he really ever played.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
My parents were actually gamers long before I even ever existed. They owned the Intellivision, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I found some boxed games in my mom's basement one time, and I was just like, "You guys had an Intellivision?" And she's like, "Oh yeah." And then they also had a regular Nintendo, and the first console that I ever really remember playing was the Super Nintendo. And they bought that and hid it under the couch before giving it to me for Christmas, and they would open it up, and they would pull it out from underneath the couch, and they would play it every single night before ending up wrapping it and throwing it under the tree. So yeah, my parents were very much into gaming. What would you say your favorite types of games to play are? Like, what genres do you normally play?
I love platforming games, but I also like puzzle solving games. That's what draws me to Zelda. It's more puzzle solving than platforming. But kind of a mix of both. So those are the type of games I gravitate towards.
Nice.
I was very addicted to World of Warcraft for a very, very long time.
I saw the box behind you. I was going to ask you how long you've been playing that for, because that's the original box right there.
Yeah, that's the original. So original Burning Crusade, and then out of frame is Wrath of the Lich King. Those are the obviously the first 3 expansions. I played since vanilla, and I stopped in Cataclysm, I think it was.
I think that's when I stopped also.
Yeah.
Did you get into when they brought it back recently?
I did. I
Classic?
went and I played vanilla. I played classic, and I think I got one character to 60, but didn't really do much with it.
Gotcha.
It was just more of a nostalgia type thing.
Yeah, it is such a grind, dude. I got to 57, and then that was the point where they were like, "Let's turn PvP on," and I was like, "Then I'm done. It's over, because I can't quest anymore, so it's over."
Yeah.
Yeah, WoW it's such a love-hate relationship with World of Warcraft for me, because I love playing the game, but I also hate it so much.
Yeah,
it's really really weird. So our Patreon, we do a Patreon episode every 4 weeks. So episode 4, episode 8, and episode 12 will all be Patreon exclusive episodes. We will be pulling a game from the Patreon supporters wish list, basically, and that's a much smaller list than the games that we randomize every single week. So if you want to get on there, it's $5 a month to support us, and you can get your game played much quicker. Also, for season 2, we will be giving away one of the games that we are playing, and we will be giving one of those games away to one of our patrons. So like I said, if you want to get on there, $5.
I hope I win.
Yeah, I hope you win too, buddy.
I hope you win too.
Yeah,
thank you.
We're all on your side, dude.
Cool.
All right. So this week we played probably one of the biggest games we could pull, and I was pretty happy about it because I had never gotten to play it before. We played A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo. And Yaiser, what was your experience with this game before the past couple weeks? Have you ever played it before?
I played a little bit of it, like here and there. I started it probably a bunch of times when I was little.
Yep.
Never really got that far.
So you owned the game when you were little?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I sometimes would jump on like one of my brother's saves where he was like at the end,
Yeah.
at the Ganon fight. I think I remember jumping in there a couple times.
Nice.
And just dying. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't playing a lot of games back then, so that was a hard one for me to kind of get into. And I don't know if I could beat this game without someone telling me where to go most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I like I said, I had no experience playing this game whatsoever going into last week. So I think when I used to collect, I had the cartridge, and I probably fired it up once or twice just to kind of see where I was, like what all the hype was about.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just get lost and I would die. And then I'm like, I don't know where to go. And so I would get so frustrated with that. This time I played it with a walkthrough and like tried to follow it to a T. I still didn't beat it because I totally ran out of time playing it this current week. And so I played it a lot for the first week, but then the second week I didn't get a chance to play it, unfortunately. Yaiser, did you get to beat the game?
I did beat the game, yeah.
Nice, dude.
I tried my best to get like as far as I could.
Yeah.
Without like a guide.
Walkthrough. When did you start using it?
Anytime like I was like stuck or like had no idea where I was supposed to go or what I was supposed to be doing.
But is that like Dark World? Is that when you started using it?
I probably used it. Basically, I used it to get into the palaces that I like didn't know how to get into, because sometimes you gotta like warp back and forth between worlds to get onto like a certain like platform or whatever, just to be able to get in the door. So I had how the fuck are you supposed to figure that out without looking it up? I have no idea. But
yeah. And Patrick, obviously you've played this game a lot going into this episode, and obviously you beat it a ton of times, right? Yeah. So how do you feel about the overall, you're kind of like walking around trying to discover everything, and like do you find it that it's easy, or only because you played it a ton of times?
It's only because I played it a ton of times. As a kid, I got my Super Nintendo, and I remember getting this game, and I played it for hours. And in those hours that I played it, I could have a 3-hour session and not complete one single thing, and I was just roaming around. And that's kind of how I learned the game, because as a kid, I loved it. I just immersed myself into this game and just played. So that's kind of how I learned where everything was. But it wasn't until I started watching the randomizer speed runs that I really find out where all of hey, there's a chest there's an item location here, really find all the intricate details of the game. But yeah, as a kid though, oh no, hours and hours of roaming around.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better, because just 10 years ago, as a 20-something-year-old boy man, I could not figure out where I was going then, and I don't know if I could have now either without looking up, on the walkthroughs. And walkthroughs are kind of hit and miss. Some of them I feel like are, they're really detailed and tell you exactly where to go step by step, and then other times just this like it assumes where the locations are in the game, and that's bothersome to me sometimes. A little vague. Yeah.
You do have to go and talk to people a lot, especially early on in the game, to kind of find your bearings. And that's as a kid. I mean, do you want to go and talk to people? No, you want to play the game.
No.
So you don't really do that.
Actually, during this playthrough, I randomly talked to this one guy that I think it was a kid actually, who marked my map at one point, and I was just like, "Oh, that's super helpful." I wonder if that's how you're supposed to play the game.
If memory serves me correctly, that was when you were trying to find Sahasrara in Kakariko Village, and he marked it for you there, and then you found out that he was actually over near Eastern Palace. So that's I think that's the only time that happens. A little red X, I think it was.
Yeah, for sure, because that was super helpful, and I'm like, okay, cool. It didn't even say to do that in the walkthrough, which I thought was funny, because the walkthrough was just like, oh, go here, like without talking to anybody.
Yes, you technically don't even need to do that. You can just go right to Eastern Palace and then talk to him, and it'll just completely skip over that part.
That's funny. Let's get it started here. Patrick, you can get it started off with story here. What did you give it and why?
So I gave story a 5. Now, I promise you, I will preface this by saying I did not give all 5s across the board. Pretty close, but didn't give all 5s. And the reason why I gave story a 5 is, and I wrote down some notes here. There are a lot of different kind of side stories in this game, and a lot of things that you don't really know about. The one example of that is the flute boy. It's the flute is a mechanism in the game that speeds up travel. It's basically fast travel. But that was given to us in the form of a sad tale of a father and son being separated. The son, yeah, he's in the grove, the little forest, who plays the little ocarina, and his dad is actually over in the bar, and he tells you, I lost my son. And then you don't talk to that little boy because it's only a hologram. You don't actually talk to him until you go to the dark world and realize he's stuck here forever, never going to see his father again. And you're told that with that story. Very, very similar with the blacksmiths. You have that story, and where they're separating, you have to go help them. And the third point I wanted to make on it is that we also know that this is the most powerful link. You don't know it at the time, but obviously now with the timelines that have come out with Zelda, this is the only link to defeat Ganon when the Link has no parts of the Triforce and Ganon has all 3. So those three examples right there. That's I'm giving story of this game a 5.
See, that kind of stuff is stuff I wish I knew before I graded it out. If you're playing through this game for the first time, I don't even know if you'd know that this is a prequel to the original Legend of Zelda. I don't know. I'm gonna let Yaiser go first because I already know my opinion is gonna be the most unpopular.
Oh boy.
I gave it a 5 too. Yeah, for all the same reasons. I mean, the main story is pretty dope. The way they used the fucking wizard boy to kind of like take over the castle, kill the king, and brainwash all the knights and shit. And all the little side stories. Yeah, it's a really cool story. I also give it 5.
You don't want to go on a little bit longer, so I don't have to say mine?
No, you're up.
Right. That's fair.
I mean, I have more examples there, but no, I'll put your feet to the flame.
All right, appreciate that, buddy. So it's not a bad score by any means, but I would certainly assume that everybody would expect 5s across the board here. I gave it a 3.5. I know, blasphemy.
Why though?
So here's the reason. I can't get into it. I don't know why. Something about like these types of like overly epic tales. I like something a little more simplistic and more gameplay driven. This game is very, very good gameplay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not that. But for some reason I get lost when reading the text, and I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care. Keep going. But I have a problem with that with a lot of games, so I don't know. This is a me problem. It's not a Zelda problem. But yeah, so for me, it didn't grab me for whatever reason, and again, this is my fault. I'll take ownership of it.
All right, well, fair enough.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that, because there's a lot of text in this game. Every dungeon you beat, there's a wall of text, just like the owl in Ocarina of Time. Or you're spamming A, you're like, all right, I don't care. I'm a 7-year-old who wants to just get through this game.
Do you understand?
Played that as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, I've been guilty of this too. And it's funny. Patrick, have you ever played Earthbound?
I haven't, no.
Okay. So in that game, they have a couple of these situations where they know what kids do. They know that the kids aren't reading any of the text, and they're just pounding the A button to try and just, continue on. Okay, get this text off my screen. And a lot of times in that game, they have this thing where it's like, do you understand? And instead of saying yes, it starts on the no, and then it retells you the entire story over and over again, and you're stuck in an infinite loop of text. And that happened to me so much as a kid, where I'm like, I actually have to read this stupid text now. But yeah, I don't know. This, like I said, the story for whatever reason doesn't grab me. I think what I need to do is I need to sit down and I need to have somebody tell me the entire like timeline of The Legend of Zelda, which I know is like overly complicated. I've seen videos on it, like how complicated the timeline is. I find the timeline of it though very, very interesting, and I do want to learn more about it. And Patrick, do you know, is this the first game in the series timeline wise?
No, the first game in the series timeline wise is Skyward Sword. That is where Link is cursed. Link and Zelda are both cursed by demise for that all of their future future generations of children or people, the new Link, the new Zelda, every generation is always going to be cursed with being followed by someone like, well, obviously Ganondorf now, but it was the curse from demise.
Okay, because I've heard other people saying that it's really hard to tell exactly where it starts, but it's even harder to tell what the most recent one is. Do you know what the most recent one is, or is that kind of a?
There's 3 timelines. There's childhood timeline, then there's adult was successful in Ocarina of Time, and then there was adult was not successful in Ocarina of Time, meaning Ganon won. So there's 3 of them, and what people are saying, and there's nothing official from Nintendo yet, but they're saying that Breath of the Wild combines all 3 timelines back into one. That's what it's. I think it's a fan theory type thing.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That's what I mean. Like, I really want to know more about the Zelda timeline, because I do feel like it's fascinating how like interwoven it is, or it can be. So these are all different links. Are some of the links the same? Do we know which ones are the same, which ones are different?
The links are all different, except I believe I could be wrong, so please no one assassinate me. The Link in Majora's Mask is child Link from Ocarina of Time, because he leaves and then goes on an adventure to try to find Navi, and then that's the start of Majora's Mask. And also, I believe the same Link is Link's Awakening is the same Link as Links of the Past. Because I think, again, please don't assassinate me if I'm wrong about that one.
Yeah, because then it gets kind of interesting where like 4 swords, like is that a different, is that not canon, is that part of it? Hyrule Warriors is certainly not canon, right?
Yeah, I think that's just like a beat 'em up game that's not really part of the timelines.
Right, that is a fun one though. That one I did beat.
I actually didn't like those. I
bought
it and then it was like, nah, I don't like it.
See, I actually had a lot of fun with it. But again, it's a totally different style of game. Yeah. It's a Dynasty Warriors game. That's all it is.
Yeah, I played a couple of the Dynasty Warriors, but never the Hyrule.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, thank you, Patrick, for giving us a pretty good lowdown on like the background of the story here. I definitely want to learn more about it. So definitely take my grading with a grain of salt, okay? Because it's not a good grade, okay? I'll kick it off with gameplay though. Gonna give it a 5 stars for gameplay. It's an extremely fun game. I do like the puzzle. I do like the puzzle solving aspects of it. I think that the combat is really, really fun. I like that there's just a bunch of different items and stuff like that to use. And the map seems big when you look at the map. It's really not that big to travel from one side of the map to the other side of the map. It doesn't take as long as you would think it would. And I think that was the thing that really turned me off as somebody who tried to play it without a guide. Initially, I pull up the map and I'm like, never gonna find my way around this place. But yeah, no, I give it a 5 star. I think it's a really fun game. It's definitely one of the funnest games on the Super Nintendo for sure. So that's why it gets 5 stars. Yaiser?
Awesome. So okay, I'm gonna go off of this is a me thing, not the game thing.
Okay.
I gave it 4 stars only because I'd rather a game with a little less puzzle.
A little less puzzle?
I'd rather fight than puzzle.
That's fair.
Because even like some of the boss fights are really cool, but even the boss fights are kind of puzzly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And none of them were all that like difficult. You know what I mean? Not like any insanely hard bosses, which I like.
Yaiser comes from the Dark Souls vein.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, Yaiser, did you make it up to Trinex and not have the ice rod? Because I kind of wanted that to happen.
No, I had it.
It'd just be a big troll.
Yeah. But even that was a pretty cool fight. But wasn't that hard to figure out what you needed to do? Obviously, freeze the one arm and light the other one on fire. But yeah, I guess that's why I'm gonna go with 4 here.
I can't speak to difficulty at all since I used a walkthrough. everything was pretty easily laid out for me. So I have no idea if, this game is normally supposed to be pretty easy or normally supposed to be very difficult. Obviously, finding your way around and seeing what you're supposed to do can be difficult just in, the time consuming aspect, which is the reason why I use a walkthrough, because I don't have the time to, just trying to figure it out. But Patrick, what about you for gameplay?
I gave gameplay a 4.5, right in the middle of you guys.
Okay.
So gameplay to me is fantastic. I love the gameplay, but there are just certain little things about it that that I love. When you're fighting another guard, the whole sword fight thing. I'm like, all right, like just move, like let me hit you, get out of the way. It's like kind of uselessly sitting there. And then there's a couple of glitches. There's you can deflect Aghanim's beams back with the bug net, which is really, really funny.
I didn't know.
Oh, hey, bug nets is just as powerful as a master sword. And quite possibly the most annoying thing about the gameplay for me is the Mothula fight, because when you hit Mothula, that is the boss of Skull Woods, the little the very top left. In the Dark World, it's where the master sword pedestal sits. And that boss, if you hit him into spikes, he actually doesn't take any damage, because the developers couldn't figure out a way to actually coat that room with spikes and make it so you could, the spikes would harm you, but not him. So they just made it, if he hits spikes, there's no damage. Well, the room is coated in spikes. So you hit him and he bounces back. He takes a little bit of a deflection there. And he hits into spikes, takes no damage. So I hate that fight just because of that. Yeah.
That's funny. See, this is why I like bringing on, somebody who's really, the game really well. So to bring up like certain glitches and stuff like that, that's a cool aspect that, we wouldn't have been able to bring up because I had no idea. All right, moving. Oh, sorry, did you got?
One of the biggest glitches, the exploration glitch. All of the dungeons are actually combined on a map on another layer. So if you know how to glitch into a wall, you can just kind of go under the dungeons and go from one dungeon to another dungeon, and then eventually you can beat the game in like 3 minutes doing it that way.
That sounds great. You should have told me about that. I would have had time to beat the whole game.
I should have.
All right, Yaiser, you want to kick it off with visuals here?
Oh yeah, sure. You know how I feel about these SNES games.
They age so well. Just like the look of them, the sprites, everything, they look so great.
Love it. 5 stars all day.
All right.
Beautiful.
Anything else? What are like your favorite looking bosses? Anything like that?
I mean, Trinex is pretty cool. I don't really know them by name, other than I don't really know them by name, but
which dungeons I can tell you. Well, at least
geez, I don't know. Put me on the spot here, huh? No, I don't know. It's just like all of it. They all look pretty cool. There's nothing that looks bad in this game,
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's a pretty polished game. I didn't give it a 5 though, because I felt like it falls just short of looking like the absolute beautiful visual masterpiece that is Donkey Kong Country to me.
Oh,
so I think it falls just short of that, and I gave it a 4.5.
Cool.
Patrick?
I also gave it a 4.5. There's nothing bad about it. It's an SNES game, so obviously we're not talking about high def graphics here. But for its time, it gets a 5. But if we're talking about current day ratings, I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Yeah, but don't you feel like, and maybe I don't know if it's just the Super Nintendo in general, but those 16-bit games, though, they age so well. They look so much they look so much better than anything that came out on the N64 or anything that came out on the. Obviously, it's like a different, the 3D graphics that they were kind of trying to mess with there. But even like going back and playing like some PS2 games after they had, had almost a decade to kind of try and master the 3D, it doesn't compare. Like these graphics are ageless to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you put one of these on a current day TV, it's going to look way better than something like N64.
For sure,
on any device nowadays. So I agree with you. The SNES games, I think they age the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, and did you play this game on original hardware?
I did. Not this past 2 weeks, but when I was a kid, I did. Yes.
Right. And when you do, I'm assuming when you do the randomizer, that's all on your PC.
That is on PC, but you can do it on original hardware. If you get a cartridge where you can just load ROM files on, you can play them on original hardware.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
I just need to repair mine. The power got disconnected from the board. I need to solder that back on.
Gotcha. Patrick, why don't you start it off with sound?
Sure. I gave sound a 5. It was the first Zelda game on SNES. It's the first Zelda game in 16-bit music and 16-bit sound effects. I think it really took the staple that is the original Zelda theme and made it that much better. It kept it and it just put it in 16 bits. You can have different instrumentals in there. It's amazing. You take something like Hyrule Castle when you first go in as a kid. You hear that music, but you know what you're also hearing? You're hearing the rain from hit the top of the castle as well.
Mm-hmm.
The little things like that in that game that Shigeru Miyamoto and the rest of the team did is just phenomenal. So 5 all day long.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I also have it down for a 5. Go ahead.
And Koji Kondo as well.
I was just gonna say Koji Kondo.
I can't just give Shigeru Miyamoto the shout out.
Yep, I was just gonna say Koji Kondo, who also did the majority of the Mario stuff. That dude is a genius. He does not get nearly enough credit for all the bangers that he's created in his lifetime.
He created the Zelda music in short order because they were going to try to use a different theme, but it was copyrighted. So they tasked him with creating a new theme, and he created the Zelda theme in very short order.
It's honestly one of the most iconic video game music soundtracks, whatever, of all time,
for sure.
It's insane. What'd you give it, Yaiser?
I was very close to giving it 5 stars.
Oh, that
because I mean, right from the load screen, that leaving the load screen music, that song is fucking awesome.
Yep.
But there's just one sound in this game that drives me fucking crazy.
I don't know what it is.
That is the low health sound.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It doesn't fucking stop until you find another heart.
It is bad.
I kind of wish I had that queued up just so I could play it right now.
No. It drives me nuts. I had to knock it down a little bit just for that. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be annoying. It probably is, but I can't stand it.
It's probably supposed to be annoying. Like driving around without your seatbelt on annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, you better buckle up, idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's this essentially is what it's kind of saying here.
Yeah.
All right. Yaiser, kick it off for aged. How do you feel that this game aged?
I feel like it aged perfectly.
Oh, that would be a 5 then.
That would be 5 stars.
Very good.
Yeah, because again, it just, when you go back and you play a game, an old game that doesn't feel old,
yep,
I feel like you have to give it 5. If it plays perfectly, there's like nothing about the game that feels clunky at all. And it looks so great. I don't know. It's awesome. The most recent Zelda that I played before this one was the Switch remake of Link's Awakening.
Yeah,
and it feels just like that. It felt great.
And so you have it down for a 5, right?
I do.
And Patrick?
I also have it down for a 5. I mean, with the release of the randomizer mod, I mean, can it get any better with a new game every time you go around?
Yeah, right.
And, hey, I'm gonna go to Ice Rod Cave, and I could find a blue rupee, or I could go find the silver arrows. You never know. But even if it didn't have that, it would still have a replay, a great replay factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, agree.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I have to admit here that we went across the board 5s.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Deserved.
Yeah, I think so too. It doesn't feel like you're playing an old game.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't at all. It feels like you're playing something that Nintendo released yesterday.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's the console, maybe it's just, a lot of these Nintendo games kind of just feel like that. Maybe because Nintendo isn't, I mean, you can't say Nintendo's not really progressing a whole lot, because I mean, look at Breath of the Wild. That thing is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I gave it a 5 also, and so we're all right there at 5.
Nice.
These ratings are insane. So far we had what was our highest rated game? Fable, I think, right?
Yeah.
Fable, I think, was our highest rated game so far, and these kind of blow Fable's ratings out of the water.
Yeah. I was thinking about that when I was writing all this down.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you surprised that you liked it this much?
No.
No, you knew going into it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's fair, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So here's where we at. We have out of a 5, like, total average, I'm the lowest on it at a 4.6. You're not. I mean, that's insane.
That is
Yaiser's at a 4.7, and Patrick's at a 4.8.
nice.
That's pretty amazing. So out of 25 stars, I gave it 23. Yaiser gave it 23.5, and Patrick gave it 24.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. I mean, it's probably on many, many lists of greatest games of all time, though. You know?
Whenever I look up lists of best Super Nintendo games of all time,
yeah,
it's always number 1 or number 2. And
Makes
usually the only thing that really competes with it is like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. I can't wait to play that.
We're never going to play it.
I mean, the game deserves it. It's that good.
Yeah, it is.
What is this your favorite Zelda game, Patrick?
Not only is it my favorite Zelda game, it's my favorite game of all time.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. That's really cool.
So when we spoke about playing Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, of course, I perked up and was like, yeah, I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's man. It's an awesome experience. I definitely need to go back and continue to play through it and beat it. It's a shame I was so busy this past weekend. I'm glad that I had 2 weeks. Otherwise, I don't know that I would have been able to play it at all, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so real quick, before we randomize the next game, Patrick, we usually ask our guest to recommend a game for us to throw onto our master list, and just throwing it out there. You got anything for us?
How about we go with Sonic 3 and Knuckles for Sega Genesis?
Very
Okay.
cool.
Have we had a Sega game yet?
Not.
Well, we
only
had
if you
Crazy
count
Taxi, yeah, which was multi-platform, but
Yeah.
kind of the Dreamcast, in my opinion, was the best version. But
I had
so
that game.
Sonic 3 and Knuckles, huh?
Yep, got it.
That's cool.
Well, specifically with Knuckles, so you play all. I think it's 15 levels.
Right.
Cool.
That is interesting how they did that, right? Because Knuckles was basically like an expansion pack.
Yeah, actually, you can see it over, which is now my right shoulder and left in here. That's Sonic 2 and Knuckles right there, and that Genesis right behind my head.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that too is like because you put a game on top of the Sonic and Knuckles game pack, and you can like stack multiple. It's kind of crazy.
Cool. You could put your Game Shark that on your Game Shark, so you could have Game Shark, Sonic and Knuckles, and then another game as well.
That's pretty
that
crazy.
Was really cool.
For like back in the Sega was really innovative when it came to like stuff like that. I felt like I don't know that. I mean, Nintendo had Game Genies and stuff like that also, but yeah, I don't know. Just to be able to do stuff like that is kind of cool. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna randomize the next game. What do you call it? Video game that we play.
All right, cool.
Ready?
Nice.
All right. This is my favorite part because I know what the game is and Yaiser doesn't. And Patrick, we like to play this game where I kind of vaguely describe the game and we can see if the guest or Yaiser can guess it.
Oh boy. All right.
So here we go. This was a survival game published by Capcom, developed by Capcom, released in 1999 for the following platforms: Dreamcast, GameCube, PC, PlayStation.
I don't know.
It's tough.
I don't know, like, what games were developed by who back then, you know?
Survival horror.
I'm going to guess
Survival
Resident
horror?
Evil.
Horror.
Yeah, I was going to say Resident Evil is the only thing that comes to mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
3. All right, cool.
Yep.
Nice.
And we will have a special guest on for that episode as well. DMC is coming back.
Oh, cool.
So he will be back to talk about some Resident Evil with us. I've never played this game before. Yes, sir?
I played one of them on GameCube. It might have been this one.
Yeah, or Resident Evil 4.
It could have been 4.
4 is like usually held to like the highest, like that one's usually the best. And people laugh, but like the Wii version is the best one.
Oh.
Which one was Code Veronica? Because that's the only one that I've owned and played on Dreamcast.
Yeah, so that one's I think it's called Resident Evil X Code Veronica, and that one's that one's multi-platform as well, like PS2 and a bunch of other ones.
I think we have a copy.
I think we do in my garage over there. But yeah, so I guess join us next week for Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I'm very excited for it. Like I said, I've never played it before, so that'll be a fun one. Maybe we'll get some gameplay footage up on the YouTube for it.
Yeah.
And Patrick, do you want to go ahead and tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on TikTok. My handle there is Lord Hoell. We stream retro games like Mario and Zelda. I'm actually going to be doing a Link to the Past randomizer right after this recording here. We're really only there. We do have a community Discord. That link is in my bio and on TikTok, or you can go to lordhoell.com. That goes right to the link tree, so you can get all the different links that you can find us.
Very fancy. You have your own website. I need to get one of those. How do we get our own website?
I can help you out with that. I work in IT for a living, so.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We got a guide. That's awesome.
And if you really want to email me, it's lordhoell@lordhoell.com. So.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's easy.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Patrick, for joining us. And everybody, please join us next week as we talk about Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Cool. Can't wait.
All right. Take care, guys.
Peace.